Hello, everyone. I'm Billy.
I'm Will.
And welcome to the Slay Lounge. In this podcast, we will be discussing everything that slays, from our favorite supernatural warriors to the people who inspire us and the media they are associated with. We will be beginning with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So much goes into the show, and before we dive in, I think we would be remiss if we didn't give some background knowledge of the show. Even if you followed the show before syndication, or if this is your first watch through and need a sort of commentary on how there's there's stuff about the show that even I don't know until I looked it up. Will and I have a long history with Buffy. Will more than me.
Yeah, most definitely. I've been watching it from the very moment it aired in March of 1997. 12 going on 13. And I remember it being like, it was, I remember going to school and people going and talking about it. And I remember I had not understood a lot of it. It was something I knew was on at first. And it literally was I thought Angel's name was Will, but I never thought Angel would be a boy's name, which obviously it is. And they were like, which one do you like most? I was like, oh, I like Will. They're like, oh, you like the vampire guy or whatever. It's so it must have been a couple episodes already in before I really started hearing about it. But it was junior high and 7th grade or 6th going to 7th. And it was already, and this was in Colorado. So it was already taking off instantaneously. Mm-hmm. And it was just, once it started, then obviously most people, especially my stepdad, who was all automatically it's Satan, and you've never watched it, so you have no idea what it's about. And so he would try to restrict me from watching it, but I would find my way. I found ways. I had people who would record on VHS, and I would get it and watch it secretly in my room when nobody was watching or nobody was home. I have been a diehard fan since it's been out. And I remember when the movie came out when I was a lot younger, but I do remember the concept of the movie was out. I just didn't know anything about it. It wasn't that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. So I am a Buffy connoisseur. I have memorabilia. My whole office is literally lit up with Buffy memorabilia.
We are actually in the actual Slay Lounge right now. There's the neon.
I have a neon light that's bright pink that says Slay Lounge. I have 2 portraits made of Faith and Buffy on either side.
You have the 2.
I have my original posters from 1999 season of Buffy with her arms crossed, and then Angel when he went to his own show. So 99, 2000. I have some things that have been custom made, and I have stakes that have been custom made.
You have the Buffy jacket.
I have from Hot Topic, I think 2005 or 10. I'm not sure the year, but they came out with a Buffy leather jacket that has Buffy B buttons. I have almost every book I could find, except for normal story novels. I kind of stick to mostly, just things about Sunnydale and everything else. I have the yearbook. I have
comic books.
I have the comic books. Mm-hmm. I have DVD stuff. Not all of it. I do it for digitally from iTunes. I just buy it that way, but I am looking to buy it on DVD, so therefore I can always have it. But yeah, I got a lot of Buffy stuff.
Yeah, and Funkos.
Yeah, I almost anything. If Buffy's a Funko, I have it. Buffy herself. I do have Faith in Buffy. I do now have the new Angel and Spike. I don't really go for the other characters. They're not my favorite. I am a Buffy boy all the way, straight through.
And we have the video games.
I do have the original video games from the original Xbox. I purposely bought my own Xbox, the original, so that I could play both games. Now, Chaos Bleeds is the only one I have not completed. It's not my it's not my favorite, only because I do not like playing Xander. Xander is useless in this game, as he is in the TV show for the most part. There are certain times that he's fine, but for the most part, Xander's completely and utterly useless in everything he does.
My history of Buffy is a little bit more contemporary. I remember when I was growing up, especially in middle school. No, because when I was a child too, I was. Oh God, we're showing our age. I'm
40.
I'm 30. I was in elementary school when I first saw Buffy. It was when the WB still existed. And and I remember accidentally watching a couple episodes because like I lived with my grandparents at the time and they had this sitting room upstairs with its own TV, and I've always been a solitary creature, and I like to go up there in the evenings by myself and just hang out and watch TV. And I believe, if I recall, the WB was like on Channel 4 back then or something.
Illinois.
Yeah, in Illinois. And I stumbled upon the episode with Willow being by that paralyzed demon that eats skin.
Season 7, when she came back after being treated.
Yes. And I remember watching that going, oh, she's a witch. Well, that's cool. I like stuff like that. And then like,
Badass.
yeah. And then on occasion I would stumble upon an episode, but I actually watched it because in the morning time, now fast forwarding to when I'm in middle school, in the morning time, they would do the syndicated reruns of Charmed. And then after Charmed, they would play an episode of Buffy. So I was there for Charmed, and then Buffy came on after it, and I liked the concept, the world building concept, because I was really into like fantasy back then. And then after that would come Angel. So
they also do say that Buffy and Charmed, if they could, like I've read things where basically they are still in the same universe,
yeah,
like, because they give off the same
right. Well, and then like Charisma goes into an episode of Charmed, and she's one of the main characters in Buffy. So it kind of, and she, okay, well, we're gonna, that I can't say anything more because we'd be giving away the goat at that point. But anyways, fast forward till I'm 20, and I'm working graveyard shift for Motel 6, and it gets really slow at night, so I would binge watch TV shows. I was like, I really liked Buffy growing up. I wish I had gotten a chance to sit down and watch it full through. And I believe at the time Hulu was showing it, the whole series on Hulu.
Probably at that time it was only on Hulu.
So this would be like 2014, 2015, I believe. So I remember, and I was in college at the time, studying English because I have ambitions to be a writer. So I thought, oh, well, I know that Joss Whedon is a really good world builder, and maybe the show would help me in my character creations and stuff like that, which it did. But I sat there and I watched full through, and I was invested.
That's probably why you like season 4 and up.
Yeah,
most.
Yeah.
To where me, see, like one is great. There's like season 1 had like the episodes that matter, and there's very, very many that are filler.
Right.
But it's because it was where how I came into the season. But 2 and 3 are my ultimate favorite episodes because of where it hit me in life and where it hit you. You were in college years, so therefore season 4 up.
Which, real quick, I remember watching that season and this was like
season 4.
So I must have started it before I went back to college or went to college, because I remember watching it and then going to college and being so upset that I wasn't in college. I'm like, that should be me. I should be going to college right now. Why am I not in college?
And that was the only time I liked Xander, when he was like,
Oh yeah, when he got some real world in him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm gonna deliver pizza.
Yeah, but and you're right, because I did eventually, like soon after starting that season, I did actually go to college, and so
and you have a better connection, not like essentially season 7, but like 4, 5, 6. You like, these are like the ones you like to watch the most. Where like 1, 2, 3, especially, I am like, those are my 2 seasons that I love the most, because it was like the most pivotal. A lot of things that happened in 2 and 3, which we will get into, on why I had such a connection to those seasons.
And then like Willow exploring her dark side, and I was coming into myself at the time, and I was exploring my dark side, knowing the situation that I was in at the time. But yeah, I mean, Buffy, and then obviously there's a lot of queer connections in Buffy, which is something we will definitely talk about on this podcast.
That's because the way he did it was like, obviously in season 4, but
yeah,
the other parts, like it wasn't necessarily directly, gay, lesbian. It was the way the words of the lines that they gave that were like, oh, I can relate to that because I'm gay and that's how it was for me, or this and the other. And it was beautifully done for the era that it came out in. And that's one thing I always get annoyed with some of the new people, is because this was written and done now a long time ago. We're creeping very slowly to the 30th anniversary of Buffy.
Right.
So it's like,
and it's probably harder for the newer generation to comprehend some of those kinds of pitfalls, because you and I get it, because when we were growing up, we had to go through things and stages before we could actually be, especially, well, I don't know.
Well, my era, it's like even like that 10-year gap between the two of us.
Yes.
There is a total difference. Like, we both came from a small town, but my small town, your small town, and those two 10-year differences were completely, it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
Like, I feared for my absolute life.
Yeah, and I could come out easily without worries of physical altercation. But I did get harassed in other ways.
Yeah.
You know. But like having to do the whole, dating girls first and then realizing, oh, I like boys, and then being like, well, I can't really say I like boys. I have to make it kind of where I'm like,
you could be bisexual.
Right. Well, it's like you were basically having to say I'm normal, but I'm not normal, And Buffy did help with that a lot. In fact, a lot of people I grew up with who watched Buffy credit Buffy for helping them come out and deal with their queerness, which, and I don't know if Joss had much of a concern about that aspect. I know
from things I've read that he was like specifically using it as kind of like how Marvel with X-Men, the X-Men are, it's a semblance of.
Right. Oh yeah.
Homosexuality.
Yeah, you're absolutely
right. Because how they come after us. Like old school gays, I give props to. They went through a lot of crap.
They did, and then I know, like, in this more modern era, it's not as difficult, and in fact, everyone kind of celebrates a person's queerness these days. So having to watch Buffy now, it's definitely dated how that was handled and expressed. But I think it's important to note that the way it was handled is authentic and accurate, and that there's no hidden message, no reading in between the lines with it.
Certain parts of it, yes. The whole basis of which we'll get into in a few minutes is using real life stuff and just sprinkling with monsters.
Right. Using the creatures as an analogy, which I think is a perfect segue into our next point of topic, which is who created the show, which, as we know, Joss Whedon is the main creator of Buffy, but he had help by Marty Noxon, who acted as a producer and screenwriter for the show. There were others like David Greenwalt, who also wrote for Angel.
By the way, most of these people who are also the writers and creators actually did small cameos in the show.
Mm-hmm. And then we also have Kaz and Fran Rubel Kazui, I believe that's how it's spelled.
If we pronounce it wrong, we're really sorry.
Yeah. Also an Angel writer, though they didn't actually actively write for the show, but received royalties and credit because of their involvement in the movie version of Buffy. And then we have David Fury. But Joss Whedon says that he got the initial idea for Buffy from this sort of creature character he made called Rhonda, the Immortal Waitress.
He also, like on other things I've seen, he also said he got so tired of watching the dumb blonde walk down the alleyway and just get murdered. He was like, I want to see the dumb blonde walk down the alleyway and kick some things off.
Right.
And come out the hero.
Right. And like you said, it was the idea, and this is his quotes, quoting him, the idea of some woman who seems to be completely insignificant who turns out to be the extraordinary character. This early...
we're all about women empowerment.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why we
we're
care. Right. We like the ones who slay, and it's usually women who slay. So, oh my gosh, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the early unproduced idea evolved into Buffy, which we developed to invert the Hollywood formula of the little blonde girl who goes into a dark alley, gets killed in every horror movie. Whedon wanted to subvert the idea and create someone who was a hero. The very first mission statement of the show was the joy of female power. Having it, using it, sharing it.
Which actually goes through the whole show.
Yeah.
Because especially in season 7.
Right.
And how that all breaks down. Obviously, we're talking to most people who are probably watching or listening to us right now, probably have seen the show at least once.
Right.
And then hopefully bring in new people that they know. But that's what that statement he just said literally goes through the whole show.
Right.
And if you watch the whole thing all the way through season 7, you see how that all plays in if you're paying attention.
Right. So we both know that Joss wanted to do so much more with the movie.
Oh, yeah. Massively. Like, it was not supposed to be. Now it's very campy and cute. But it's bad. Sorry. It's a bad movie. It's not horrifying. Like, you can watch it. It's laughable. But it's a bad movie. Like, it's just...
There was actually, from what I can tell, a disagreement between Fran and Whedon.
Yes.
Fran saw it as a pop culture comedy about what people think about vampires, and Whedon, he could disagree. He said, I had written the scary film about an empowered woman, and then they turned it into a broad comedy. It was crushing. The script was praised within the industry, but the movie was not.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like I read somewhere that Whedon didn't actually have too much of a part to play.
He did not. He actually walked away.
Yeah.
And I was like, screw it. Like, because it just became so much for him that he was so mad, which I completely understand.
Right.
And honestly, I honestly believe that if it had all come out after Interview with the Vampire Slayer, Interview with the Vampire, that maybe they would have turned it more like how Joss wanted it.
Yes.
Because then they were like, oh, this is what you mean. And he then said, I mean, as a movie, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But because we have the show to back up around it, like where it goes, oh, this is where the show went.
Well, and then me and you, we like campy.
You do.
We like stupid humor.
Yes.
So,
and I love Christy Swanson.
Right.
Get up, she's gorgeous.
But it wasn't until several years later when Gail Berman, later a Fox executive, but at the time president and CEO of the production company Sandollar Television, who owned the TV rights to the movie, approached Whedon to develop his Buffy concept into a television series. Whedon explained that, quote, they said, do you want to do a show? And I thought, high school as a horror movie. And so the metaphor became the central concept. It really is behind Buffy, and that's how it sold. And it's also interesting because I think it's important to note that Joss Whedon had actually wrote for the Roseanne show.
Yep.
So the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer was not his first go around with writing. I don't know how many other shows he had written after.
Roseanne. I know he had a part in Toy Story, which I know came after Buffy. I can't remember exactly when Toy Story came out.
Yeah,
but that movie was in production for like a long time. So
yes.
He wrote.
Well, because there's a lot of movies and TV shows in Hollywood that they knew would need better technology to produce. Yeah,
especially Toy Story was it took 12 years like Toy Story.
Yes. And also, we're sidebarring.
Yes, sidebar.
But also like movies like Emperor's New Groove, that one was in production for eons before they actually turned it. And honestly, they had better concept. Anyways, not getting into that. Sidebar. Right, exactly. But
like traveling through a graveyard.
Right. The supernatural elements in the series stood as metaphors for personal anxieties associated with adolescence and young adulthood. Early in its development, the series was going to simply be titled Slayer. And Whedon went on to write and partly fund a 25-minute non-broadcast pilot that was shown to networks and nearly sold to the WB network, which we are both familiar with. The latter promoted the premiere with a series of history of the Slayer clips, and the first episode aired on March 10th, 1997. Whedon has declared in June 2003 that the non-broadcast pilot would not be included in the DVD.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
But I've seen it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Like, the vampires, they don't go shit ton of dust. They disintegrate like concrete in a dust pile. Like,
right. He literally says it sucks ass. It
was a very... Okay. It's not bad. It's not as bad as the movie.
Yeah.
when I love the movie, love the pilot. I mean, for what it is very much the very first episode of Buffy, just slightly different with a different Willow, and it obviously doesn't have graphics.
Right.
So they had to do a semblance, so like a similarity. So when they got staked, they fell. Unlike the movie, they do turn to dust, and it was like they turned into like almost like a pile of pottery dust, like for whatever. I don't know how to explain it. And basically, the wind comes and it starts to like blow away,
like Blade, basically.
kind of, sort of. Yeah, except they don't catch on fire.
I actually never saw this version. Is it on there?
It's on YouTube.
You can find it on YouTube? Okay, I'll have to look it up on YouTube. Look it up on YouTube. Find this version so you can see the difference. Because it might give you some perspective. I definitely need to watch it. Also, it is important to note. Yeah, it's also important to note that Dolly Parton was an uncredited producer of the series, which also
is why Buffy. What you'll see, I just recently on one of my Facebook groups that I'm on, they're discussing why they always show. There's a picture of like Buffy's credentials for high school with a picture of her, and it gives there's two different ones that have two different birthdays. They officially made her birthday for Buffy as January 19th, 1981, because Dolly Parton's birthday is January 19th of 1946, I want to say. And they wanted to give that to Dolly as a nod to her for what she did, because she actually really did help the whole show become what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically took no credit for it whatsoever. So they gave her the credit by giving Buffy the birthday 1981.
Mm-hmm.
And it is said by that also because she tells Riley, I am a Capricorn on the cusp of Aquarius. And that's how you get her birthday.
Right. God love her. Love Dolly. She is so important to us.
She's the last full original like lady of country.
Right. And she does it for the gays, and she says she does it for the gays. She mentions it.
She loves everybody.
Yep. Well, as much as we love Joss Whedon, he doesn't do this stuff alone. He did have his own company at the time, and I think they still exist, called Mutant Enemy, which is where you get the arg. Exactly. They helped create the show, and the writers with the most writing credits are obviously Joss Whedon, Stephen S. DeKnight, Jane Epstein, David Fury, Drew Goddard, Drew Greenberg, David Greenwald, Rebecca Rand, Krishner, Marty Knox, and Doug Petrie. And there's a lot of other people who were involved in this, which I cannot make. Yeah, I couldn't go through the whole litany of writers because, I mean, giving the sort of grandiosity of the show, it would make sense that there's so many people sitting down having to write. I mean, even small parts. I'm sure each person was given an episode to do, or maybe even a specific story arc to write. But it takes the whole team to create something as big as Buffy. So, but
especially after season 1.
Yes,
like season 1.
When it gets more complex, and But Jane Epstein has explained how scripts came together. First, the writers talked about the emotional issues facing Buffy Summers and how she would confront them, her battle against evil supernatural forces. Then the episode's story was broken into acts and scenes. Act breaks were designed as key moments to intrigue viewers so that they would stay in the episode following the commercial break. The writers collectively filled in scenes surrounding these act breaks for a few fleshed out story. A whiteboard marked their progress by mapping brief description of each scene. Once
storyboarding.
Yes. Once breaking was complete, the credited author wrote an outline for the episode, which was checked by Whedon or Noxon, the writer, that then wrote a full script, which went through a series of drafts and finally quick rewrites. Then from the showrunner, the final article was used as the shooting script.
I was going to say one thing about going into it. I remember reading one time where they said, where do you come up with the names of these demons? Like some of them are like just out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they said sometimes we would take the names of people's dogs and go and write it in reverse. And that's how they came up with the names.
That is so cool.
They would use their pets' names.
That is clever.
Flip it, like write it in reverse and be like, that's the demons. I think they would repronounce it and then write it to like how it sounds, pronouncing wise, change it. But that's how sometimes they would come up with names. is because they couldn't think of anything. They didn't want to use. Sometimes they not want to use real stuff,
Right.
because just like in the craft, they didn't want people going out there going,
Yeah.
"No, I can do this.
I'm going to summon this demon
Yeah.
or whatever."
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't speak Latin in front of books.
Don't speak Latin. Yes.
Yeah, bad things.
Right.
But so yeah, they would take their animals or their pets or like I think one time they did a child's name, they've been reversed, and it was that's how they came up with the names to keep it fresh and different.
But see, that shows to illustrate how much work they have to put in to make something like this.
Yeah.
And like people sometimes, complain about the writer strikes and everything, and it's like these people aren't just sitting around playing games and stuff like that. They're putting a lot of effort and work, and
it's their passion,
right?
It's literally their soul.
I write, and I write, and how much work I put into my writing and how many hours it consume. It takes a lot of work to create this kind of thing, and so of course, it's going to require a team to do this. But the writing is not the only thing that is needed to go into a great show. We also have a lot of different monsters and supernatural creatures in the show. And the monster suits were created by John Bullish. I think that's how you say his last name. Mm-hmm. And a special effects company, Optic Nerve.
Yes.
And then we have Beauty and Blending that was done by Todd McIntosh. And McIntosh is credited with creating the iconic furrowed brow vampire face that Buffy is known for.
Yes, sir.
He loved the gothic soap opera Dark Shadows, and it very much inspired his creation of the monsters.
I have to say, like, all vampires, and everybody can disagree with me, but Buffy's vampires are my favorite. Not the, like, whatever, like, sometimes they have, like, an occasion, like, she's just killing one or slaying one, and it's just, like, a random person in the place. Like, I'm actually, like, actual characters, like, Angel's face, Spike's face, like, Drusilla's face is specifically done more feline in her brow, and she looks more like a cat than an actual something else. And they all have their different similarities or differences and similarities in their thing. But I think Buffy has the best looking vampires. Like how they morph from face to demon.
Well, you know how I stand, where I stand. I mean, I like it, but you know where I stand. You know where I stand on my.
True blood.
Oh yeah, or the Twilight. Yeah, or the Twilight. Sorry.
Teeth in and out.
Yeah.
I have a bridge.
Sorry for the Twihards, but I love Twilight. I read Twilight when I was growing up. But
great read.
Yeah. It's good. It's good when you're young and have no exposure to, culture. But when you get up there in age and you realize you need your vampires to do more than just be strong and pretty.
You need some aggression.
Right. Well, as it's been already stated, the show has dealt with a lot of personal issues. There's also political issues that are discussed in this series. But the show gets a lot of inspiration from books and other media. Whedon has said that he wanted it to be basically like My So-Called Life meets X-Files. He was a bit influenced by a cult film called Night of the Comet. And he actually credited X-Men character Kitty
Pryde. That's why she's my favorite X-Men.
Right? And also, he was influenced by books such as Frankenstein's Monster. Frankenstein. He liked Frankenstein's Monster because he...
Season 2, Episode 2.
Right. When you get there, you'll see what we're talking about. But it's written in a sort of pastiche, which, if anyone doesn't know what this word means, pastiche is basically a fancy word of saying likeness. It's close to getting to copying without actually copying. And there's really good examples of pastiches out there, like, Mr. Norrell and Jonathan Strange is considered a pastiche book because it's written in the vernacular of the 19th century. But he definitely took his passions and his what fascinated him and turned it into something, which I really appreciate.
You have a whole new nuance to and it really, like, you base, like, you have Vampire Diaries. It's like the PG version, really, of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Right.
But it's still, like, all these things were based off of Buffy, really. Besides Anne Rice's books, because they came out way before Buffy.
Right.
But I would say Anne Rice and Buffy are the most pivotal things that direct towards vampire culture of the movies and entertainment industry.
Well,
not everything, not the other stuff that's bad. Might do bad.
Where Anne Rice, what she does is she takes these things and she puts them in the persona of a man because she was very fascinated with masculinity. Joss takes the woman and makes her the main character, makes her the one with all the power,
the hero.
Right. And I know, like, people like, Mary Shelley, who had a lot of issues publishing her book because of her status as a woman, would appreciate that. And the fact that she got to contribute to that. But in the world of Buffy, the problems that teenagers face become literal monsters. A mother can take over her daughter's life.
Her influence.
Mm-hmm. A strict stepfather-to-be really is a heartless machine. A young lesbian fears that her nature is demonic. A girl who has sex with even the nicest seeming guy may discover that afterwards becomes a monster. And I think that
we don't know its true colors.
Right, exactly. And I think that's like, it's aesopic in a way. You know, it's parables in a digestible way that is both current and even, I would say, even current now. But also, it gives a clear-cut, no-nonsense understanding. It's not buried in analogies and allusions and stuff like that. It's very obvious.
No, they say this to people all the time. It's like, they're like, I have family members who are like, you need to watch this. Like, why? I have branched this show off to my baby cousin Lexi. She watches it and is like, just like me, because she watched me play the video games. And therefore, like, she learned, like, when she was very little, she would grab on me like, oh my God, they're going to get her. And I would fight like the video game. And that's how she got introduced to Buffy. And it's from her, like, and my sister just watched it for the first time. She's 27, came out she was born in 97. She'll be 27, sorry. And she just watched Buffy the first time. She had her critique. She's like, it's very 90s. I'm like, yes, it's very 90s. Of course it's. I'm like, this is what was. And she had like her things. It'd be nice maybe like one day we'll probably bring her in and see what like her opinion, just a quick one with her. Because she is that other generation that.
It's so weird though, like how just a couple of years can make such a huge difference on perspective.
Yeah.
Like
you guys are only like 4 or 5 years, like 4 years apart, 3 years apart.
Yeah.
And your interpretation of how she sees it, two different like aspects.
Well, and then also
and she's
like
also a girl.
Well, but also my parents were teenagers when they started having kids, so I feel like I kind of absorbed and adopted some of the Generation X kind of points of view because of how young my parents were.
Like my mother was 18.
Yeah. So that might be.
She was 30 with my sister, so it was a totally different parent base and everything else. So it's all the generation differences, and it's kind of fun knowing my sister, watching it as she is now an adult and has always known I've been watching this show, but she never has watched it herself. And it's just kind of funny. It's just like, she's like, I'd never watched it. And, well, actually, that's a lie. She did watch one episode, but it wasn't Buffy. She watched Angel. And it's the one where it was the very first crossover between Buffy and Angel, which we'll get into one day. But it was the one where I don't know, like, can I give out the details of that episode, or should I just?
I would wait until because
she watched that episode and like it struck her, and she actually cried.
Yeah,
and my sister's not a crier. She cries sometimes, but she's not a crier. She's a strong one. She's a very Buffy-esque type person. She keeps her emotions in until she actually bursts. But this episode, she was like, "Why is this so sad?" And I was like, "It's Buffy."
Yeah,
they know how to hit those fucking. Notes.
Yeah.
It's just like, sorry for the F-bomb. But they just sometimes, like, especially if you've never watched it before, like, actually watch the show. I would love to go back and, like, find it today and have never watched it and be like, wow, this show is really good, like, for what it is.
Right. Well, and since we know how much effort they put into each episode and, like, literally how I described it, they took minutes, like magnifying glasses, to make sure that you, the viewer, was going to definitely stay tuned and watch what was going to happen.
I mean, they were so dedicated to this show that instead of just having, like, because Sarah Michelle Gellar is afraid of graveyards. She's terrified to be in the coffin in the ground. She, like, so there's an episode where this happens. Well, because she's terrified of those things. Also, it helped when they didn't just do location spots on everything. They eventually just built a ginormous warehouse, and they filmed with inside that warehouse and moved stuff around. But that's how dedicated they were to the show for that aspect, to give that realness to it,
right?
And not be so like, oh, this is a location, and here we go, and everything else. They could make their own atmosphere, their own thing, whatever they wanted to do within this warehouse. But it was also because Sarah was afraid of graveyards.
Yeah, well,
is afraid of graveyards. It literally just came out like last week. She talked about it.
That's funny. Well, the show not only does it go through emotional turmoil that a teenager would face, but it actually puts a magnifying glass on what it is to be a hero, especially a young hero, because oftentimes Buffy is resistant to her calling. She definitely wants to live a normal life, right? Which, if I found out that I had supernatural strength...
If I found out I was a hot chick with superpowers, I would not care.
Yeah, I'd be like, dating what? Dating who? I don't care. I want to fight monsters.
Cool.
But then, also, they create the gay coming out analogy, which I love so much, especially because it's, like, even the verbiage used during the scene, which, when you watch in the episode called Becoming with Part 2, she has to basically give...
that's what I was getting to earlier.
Yeah.
It was like the way they worded it.
Yeah.
The way she and her mother having this interaction. And she's all like, it's like, she's like, have you ever tried not being a Slayer?
Right.
She's like, you don't get it. Okay, well, she's like, I have to go. Like, I have to go save the world. I'd rather be upstairs talking to boys, studying, whatever. And she's like, Buffy, you need help. I don't need help. I need you to chill.
Right. And we will get into that in more detail with more nuance when the episode comes. But
that episode was like, I was...
and if you talk to any... Well, not every queer person, but if you talk to many like older gay men who grew up watching Buffy, they will definitely talk about that
scene.
Right. They will talk about it.
For us was, especially for me, it was 1998, 99. It was, and it was going because fourth season, it's end of season 3. And so I was 14, 15. And it was like, obviously I didn't see that season at that time. So I was like 17 when I first finally saw all the episodes and stuff like that, like season 3. Cause I was being able to go to my friend Annie's house and my friend Crystal's house. And I was able to watch whatever I wanted. Again, strict parents, Nazis. And so
you're stepping. She was gonna. I'm
afraid you're gonna have a wooden stick over my heart one night in the middle of the night. Like, why would I do that? It's a show. You have no idea what.
He's on the internet looking up satanic stuff.
Yeah. No, it's not satanic. Sorry,
Jeez.
It's a Virgo symbol. It has nothing to do with what you're thinking. He's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyways, when I saw, I was like 17, and that's really what it hit me so hard. That I was like, that's me. I'm not a Slayer, obviously, but that's how it felt. It was like, I know who I am. I don't need you to tell me, and I just need you to chill. But
it's so funny to me that you felt more attached to Buffy, and I've always felt more attached to Willow. Well, many characters. I feel very attached to Willow, but also Spike. You know,
I am. Well, I love Kendra.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Kendra. She should have stayed in the show. Anyways. So there's actually, speaking of characters, there's a huge cast to Buffy. Gosh, I mean, where do we even start? There's obviously
Sarah Michelle Gellar, the Queen,
right? But you want to know something? But you want to know something weird? If there wasn't a time where Katie Holmes or Selma Blair were trying to become Buffy or take the role of Buffy,
audition for it.
And Natasha Lyonne was also offered the role, but declined due to not wanting to commit to a series at the age of 16, which that was kind of dumb because we've both said series like Buffy or like even Star Wars, if you get part of those kinds of shows, you've got money
for life.
Right.
As long as it goes into
right.
that part.
But I mean, and how could you?
But like Sarah had said also, like when she first got it, she was very scared that she would be pigeonholed. Now older, she even says she's like, it is the best thing that ever happened.
Right.
Because it got me to be where I am today.
Right.
Like, she does shows and movies. We all know this. But really, her part, like, it's almost like she's too good for the whole thing. Like, she plays in a movie. She's great. The movie sucks.
Right. And obviously,
Sorry.
we don't know the nuances of the industry at the time. What
It was like that a lot.
Right. What people's agents were telling them and what producers were telling them or studios were telling
And
them.
it was hard to go from TV to movies, and movie people saw TV people back then, especially. Like, it was, you're beneath me.
Right.
Like, you're like a soap opera, but you're during the day.
Right.
Or during the night. And it's like, but now it's different because they now go between both.
Having been able to be in those kinds of shows, they can do the circuits of the conventions, which is, from what I'm understanding, is a moneymaker right now.
It is.
Which is why a lot of actors who used to be on long-running TV shows are doing them, because it's like honestly, I would say is an easy way to make money.
Well, back then we didn't have social media.
Right.
So they had no way of communicating back and forth between us, like Twitter or Instagram, and getting shout outs and anything else. So Comic-Cons now get to have us who are way older and get to go and meet them. But like, I finally get to meet you. I get to have freaking interaction with you. Like, I'm sorry, I have to segue.
Or like, well,
I gotta segue out. I got to meet, well, we both did. We got to meet Shannon Doherty.
Yeah.
Last October, the 25th anniversary of Charmed. We had to meet Holly, Rose, and Shannon. And we both hold that so severely dearly to ourselves.
Because I would have never thought, like, growing up watching Charmed, which we will talk about. We will be doing Charmed. We will be doing a Charmed series eventually. But
shout out to Rose and Holly.
Right, shout out to Rose and Holly. But being a little kid and seeing them on TV, and then like being a grown man and seeing them in real life, it's like, holy crap, these people are humans.
I say it all the time, like, I will never forget the feeling of Shannon Doherty holding my hand and talking to me, because first it was lost the break. But we'll get into that later when we get into Charms. Trust me, it's a very outcry cry.
Right.
I'm starting to tear up now thinking about talking to Shannon. But when we
eventually do Charmed, we will definitely get into it.
But going to Comic-Cons and doing stuff like this, it is amazing to me.
Yeah. And then how I made Shannon mad. I didn't mean to, but it's that is my life. I always just make people angry without meaning to. But anyways,
every day.
So Buffy, some of the alumni of Buffy or alumnus of Buffy actually tried to become Buffy also. So we have like Julie Benz, who plays Darla, tried to be Buffy. We have Elizabeth Ann Allen, Amy Madison, who has a very important role in the series, tried to be Buffy. Julie Lee, who plays Chantrell.
Or they tried or auditioned?
They auditioned. Okay. Yeah. They auditioned. Charisma Carpenter, which she gets her last laugh in the end, kind of, with the recent Slayer Buffy verse audiobook, which was really good.
Charisma was actually supposed to be Buffy.
Right.
And then
Buffy was going to be Cordelia.
Yeah. And then Joss was looking at Sarah, and he's like, I need you to audition for Buffy. And she did it, I think, 4 times. Mm-hmm. 4 or 5 times. Not probably, that's not a quote. That's not a fact. I think it's that many times. She came back and back and back, and he wanted her to like change a few things, do this.
Yeah.
And then he was like, no, you have to be Buffy. And that's how she became Buffy. Instead of Cordelia, and Cordelia.
I love Charisma, though. I think she would have been an excellent Buffy. I'm satisfied with.
She would have been an excellent Slayer.
Yeah.
Because she is an excellent Slayer on the audio, but
right,
the way she is. But it's not Buffy. Like, it's like she doesn't have the.
Can you believe that they canceled that already?
Yeah.
That is insane.
They're not going to do a next part, but I think it's because of the whole like making a new show. I don't know.
Whatever.
It irritates.
I'm so tired of. Anyways. And
it was the best. People actually read it, watched, listened to it.
Yeah, it was a big deal. But anyways, so we have Mercedes McNabb, who plays Harmony. And then we have Bianca Lawson, who played Slayer Kendra Young, which love.
Sorry, she never ages.
And
she has de-age.
And then the fact that they added a Slayer of color early on in the series,
season 2,
which is like, Joss, you definitely wanted to age well. You added queer characters, Slayers of color, like in the early part. Which
Spike hit his jacket. What color was black?
Right.
They go back and where Spike got when he got cut, got a scorpion tattoo in the show, but it's an actual scar.
Yeah.
He was in China during the boxing revolution.
Right.
And he fought a nation. There are actually books. They're called Tales of the Slayer, and they write from history parts and add in sprinkling it like they do the show.
Right.
Of Slayers, and it's Slayers from all over, all walks of life. Well, you saw that in season 7 with the potentials. They all come in. They're all different.
And
that's like one thing I argue a lot with people in groups, is that it is a diverse, maybe not that it's.
They didn't put the spotlight on a person of color, which that could definitely be a product of the time.
It is, but it's also like
because they wanted blonde something or others to be on TV.
That's how. Well, that's also what he said. He
right.
said, I wanted the blonde who walks down the alleyway, who comes out, who usually dies,
right,
to win.
Right,
and that's what they. The whole thing is based off a blonde.
But he made a point to show that Slayers can be any girl.
Yeah. Well, they say he's like any girl who has the potential. Will be
right
or can be
right,
and that's how it goes. It's any girl in the world at any time can be chosen to be the Slayer.
But you want to know what?
She gets slayed.
Bianca actually wanted to be Cordelia.
Yeah,
which I think would have been funny. I think it would have made it a bit. I think
it would have been her from Save the Last Dance.
Oh no! Stupid.
Bad dance moves.
No, they would have probably been different.
Sorry, I have to say it. She was like B-word.
You're so stupid.
If you ever seen Save the Last Dance, Bianca Lawson is the not protagonist.
She's I wouldn't call her an antagonist.
Yeah,
she's definitely like a bit of friction for Julia
because she wants to move up with me,
right?
The one who's going to college, Derek.
Right.
And Derek likes Sarah.
Right.
And she sees that as a competition.
That is such an awful
movie. It is an awful
It's
sorry, Julia Childs, we love you.
But anyways, so the title role obviously went to Sarah Michelle Gellar, who had appeared in Sydney Rutledge on Swan's Crossing and Kendall Hart on All My Children at age 18 in 1995.
I have a small little thing about that, though, I have to say. She was already leaving All My Children. They all said because she won the award because Susan Lucci went for years without winning an Emmy.
Mm-hmm.
And she played Susan Lucci's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And she won the Emmy for playing Susan Lucci's daughter. But Susan Lucci they didn't give her, she didn't win her Emmy then. It took her for years. And so they said they had animosities. And then Sarah left All My Children. And they said it's because of all that. But it wasn't. She had already said that she was leaving the show before she won the award. And also, another little teeny tiny tidbit, the only reason Sarah tried out to be Buffy is because she had a hairdresser on All My Children who told her that she kind of looked like Christy Swanson and she should try out to be Buffy. And that is the reason why she tried out for Buffy.
Which is why we didn't ask her to come back in addition for the lead role of Buffy because of what you just said. Sorry about that. I just drinking my little drinky drink. But that's exactly why he asked her to come back.
Yeah.
And then your favorite guy, Mr. David Boreanaz, he literally got the role from going outside, looking slick as heck, walking his dog, and someone spotted him and was like, you'd be really good for this role. Like, I can't imagine just going somewhere.
I think his dog was blue.
A very unimportant
no, it's not.
bit of trivia. Really unimportant bit of trivia.
Angel
but, yeah, it was actually, he was immediately contacted casting by director Marcia Schulman, and she just saw him and was like, you would be perfect as a brooding, self-loathing vampire.
Actually, segue. First episode of Angel, when he's at that party, when he sees Cordelia, how that one guy comes up to him, he's like, you're an actor?
Yeah.
That was probably... The reason that is in that part is because that's how he got his part for Buffy. They purposely did it as a joke. Because...
God really be choosing favorites, and it's never mean.
Well, he was on Married with Children.
Yeah. That's right.
He played her motorcycle boyfriend.
Correct.
What was her name in the show?
Bud
and Christina Applegate's character. Kelly.
Thank you.
She was Kelly's boyfriend for like a second.
Yeah. But we also have Anthony Stewart Head, who we know as Giles, and he had more of a singing career. And he had a little bit of an acting career, but remained best known in the United States for a series of 12 coffee commercials with Sharon Mahan, I think that's what her name, for Taster's Choice Instant Coffee.
It was like a full soap opera.
Yeah. And then we have Nicholas Brandon, who, unlike Buffy, Buffy regulars had a little acting experience, but he actually had to fight tooth and nail for this role.
Yeah.
He was a production assistant, plumber's assistant, veterinary janitor, which means he just probably cleaned up for the animals, food delivery, script delivery, daycare counselor, waiter, etc., etc. And so he got the role of Xander, but they actually auditioned Ryan Reynolds and Danny Strong, who plays Jonathan later on in the series.
Ryan Reynolds almost got the part.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be interesting if Ryan Reynolds, like, very Deadpool-ish? I would have probably liked Xander if Ryan Reynolds did it.
Ryan Reynolds looks back at it, he's like, I don't think I could have done it. I've heard him say sometimes that he's like, a few times, that he was like, I was not right for that role. Like, he was like, I would not have done it. I'm like, but everybody hates Xander. But Nicky plays the part.
Yeah.
So, and he has a twin brother who is his stunt double sometimes and does play in the show once.
I don't know. I just like the way they wrote Xander. I mean, it was probably
based
done on
off
purpose.
Jaws. It's based off Jaws, how he was. That's what they have.
So insecure and slimy and just...
Well, he is kind of... We do not... By the way, we love everything Jaws has done, but we do not condone the shit that he has done behind the scenes.
Yes.
The people...
We know that Joss is a bad person.
He has done
individually, he's a bad person. We're one of those...
We do stand with the victims.
Right. We just separate the art from the artists, and we give credit more to the... Because, I mean, at one point, did Joss stop actively writing the show? So technically speaking, it was the team of writers who created Buffy.
And he just read it over or had an assistant do it.
Or just agreed with what they did.
Yeah, because he trusted them.
Right. So we do not care for Joss as an individual, but we like some of the work he's done. But anyways.
Not a lot of work.
Yeah. We also have Allison Hannigan, who was the last of the original 6 to be cast.
She's also the oldest outside Joss.
Yeah.
Or Giles.
She got this role following her role in My Stepmother is an Alien. She appeared in commercials and supporting roles, and I believe she did a movie when she was really young with Seth Green, that
was My Stepmother's Alien.
Oh, duh.
Okay. And also, here's a little tidbit. Back in the day, when Sarah Michelle Gellar was 5 years old, her first thing was Burger King commercials.
Oh, yeah.
And guess who was her other counterpart? Oh, actually, McDonald's sued her at 5 years old because they did like basically like my burger's better than your burger, like battles basically of commercials and businesses. So it was a new thing. They sued her at 5 years old for slandering McDonald's, which she really didn't do.
That's crazy.
But guess who was her who McDonald's chose as their it girl? Allison Hannigan.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Which also, by the way, they're actually not friends in real life.
They are now.
Oh, they are now?
No. During the show, they had their things. They were fine.
Yeah.
What do they say? Just because we're on a show together does not make us like we're all family and best friends. They are like they have respect for each other.
Right, they're colleagues.
Yes, but as of lately, they have because Allison at the end, like they wanted season 8. Sarah said no. She wanted to start a family with Freddie, and she was just done. She was tired. She was out. And she did not. Nobody had discussed that with everybody in the crew. She had just done an interview, said it, and Allison kind of was pissed.
Yeah,
let's just say.
Yeah.
Now they were. I mean, like I said, they're friends. Like, but they actually have grown closer the last couple of years. But they had a time where they were not close at all.
Right. Well, Willow would have been played by a unknown actress named Riff Reagan in the unaired plot, which I've seen, and honestly, I'm glad they chose Allison.
Thank God.
Yeah. But when they recasted it, Willow sadly tells Buffy that her Barbie doll was taken from her as a child. Buffy asks her if she ever got it back. Willow's line was to reply, most of it. Like, very sad. But
you stole my Barbie.
But Allison made it a more upbeat, most of it, as opposed to the sad, depressed. And Hannigan figured Willow would be happy and proud that she got most of it back. That indicated how she was going to play the rest of the scene and the role, and for that matter, and define the character. Her approach subsequently got her the role. So instead of being like the more downtrodden sidekick, she was like optimistic and like, Buffy. Yeah, Buffy's the star, but that's cool. That's fine. And I actually like.
She's like your little like.
Right.
Like,
but she's also powerful in her own right. So
she has the most amazing arc and growth on the show. Everybody can relate to it at one point or another, except for something.
So the show went into syndication around 2001, but the first season aired March 10th, 1997. It's gone through several different kinds of syndications with different production companies, different studios. I know that it was on the WB for a long time, and then it went on to, what is it, TBN or something like that?
TNT.
Well, yeah, TNT. But it also went...
I know it was FX.
Yeah. That's how I was able to watch it with Charm.
Yeah, you were watching TNT because that's what Charm.
Right.
So duh. But now she is on it's on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
Hulu.
UPN. I was talking about UPN.
CW. UPN is now what CW is.
Right. No, it wasn't TNT. So
TBS.
No, it was FX. So
yeah, I said FX, and then
but like when I was watching it, it would do TNT for Charmed, and then it'd switch to FX for Buffy.
Yeah,
that's how.
That's what I was like, wait a minute. They didn't back and back it. It was Charmed would do 2 episodes. Whatever, doesn't really matter. But technically, if you really think about it, Buffy is on Hulu, and I believe it's now on Disney Plus. It's supposed to. So does that make Buffy a Disney princess? Because if that's true, that means Willow's a Disney princess, or is she a villain? Mm-hmm. We don't know. But yeah, if it's owned by Disney, because it is owned because it's Fox. I don't know if it's all together. We will find that out. But I will say this: if she is part of Disney, then Buffy's a Disney princess.
Well, after 7th season, they were asking Sarah if she would do an 8th season, and she said, "When we started to have such a strong year this year, I thought." This is how I want to go, on top, at our best. But I will argue...
It wasn't the best, but it was the best.
But I will argue that the 7th season felt a little rushed.
It was. Because it was the very beginning, you're like, okay, Spike comes back. I'm not going to get those details right now. Mm-hmm. But it was it was great with the things that they brought into season 7. Namely, the thing that's hanging on my wall behind her head. Mm-hmm. And that whole aspect, but they couldn't flesh that out.
Right.
It was done.
Right.
And so it was kind of rushed. I mean, you got a full 21 or 22 episodes, but they had a lot of filler.
Right. Well, and it was actually UPN who gave some considerations to production of a spinoff series that would not require Geller,
yes,
including a rumored Faith series, but nothing came to those plans.
Because they decided to do True Calling.
Right. And then the Buffy canon continued outside the television medium in the Dark Horse comic series. Buffy Season 8. This was produced starting March 2007 by Whedon, who also wrote the first story arc, The Long Way Home. And then they got the show to syndicate. To syndicate? I don't know if it's actually what it's called in the UK, but in the United Kingdom, the entire series was aired on Sky 1 and BBC 2. And then after protests from fans about early episodes being edited for the pre-Watershed time slot from the second season onwards, the BBC gave the show 2 time slots. The early evening... okay, I see what you're saying. So basically, when they were airing the show for time, they cut parts of it, like when we watch Roseanne sometimes. But they were getting mad because it was taking up probably important parts of the... it was probably taking up important parts of the plot, so they were like, no, give it 2 time slots.
Recently, I got the VHS tapes from eBay, which are originally from that time. So I'm sure if you watch it from the VHS to either story, I know when it came, they changed, whatever they did one set of DVDs into another set of DVDs, and there's stuff missing. People are like, that's not what it said on this one, or this is not happening here. This is not. It's edited, and then on TV it also has the edits. Sometimes I'll catch it and I'm like, that's not what happened there, or where did that part go? But if you watch it, if you buy it digitally on iTunes, it's almost perfect. I remember there's a few things I think are off, but it is true that they do that stuff. It's annoying.
Yeah. But they continued the series with the comics and some books. So and it was all done by Dark Horse. So in 2007, we had Buffy Vampire Slayer Season 8, and then Season 9 was in 2011, 10 in 2014, 11 in 2016, and then 12 in 2018. And then Joss was interested in film continuation in 1998, but such a film never materialized, which I would have...
2018?
1998, sorry. Oh. Yeah, sorry. But they were planning a reboot in 2018 by 20th Century Fox. Monica Owusu-Breen was to serve as a showrunner and have been working on the script with Whedon, who was to be an executive producer. News of Whedon's involvement was seen as reassuring by fans, though the extent of his involvement was unclear. Other executive producers reported to be involved, including Gail Berman, Fran Kazooie, and Kaz Kazooie, all credited as executive producers for the original series. And then according to an anonymous source who spoke with The Hollywood Reporter and Deadline Hollywood, the producers wanted a new series to be richly diverse, which And then some aspects of the series could have been seen as metaphors of issues facing society today. Similar to the way Geller described the original series as the ultimate metaphor for coping with adolescence.
You know why it didn't go through? Because yes, Buffy is very diverse in what we talked about earlier. But when you hyper focus on all those things from the show, you take away from the actual show.
Yeah.
Like, put it in like they did in the original show. And do not redo Buffy as a new Buffy, new Slayer,
right,
new storyline. That way, like, put her, like, do it as, like, in the year 1968, 1978, something different. That's fine. I'm cool with that. It'd be cool if, like, every season was a new Slayer as, like, a tale of Slayers.
Right. Which is funny because Whedon actually says that expressed fear of reboots commenting that when something is brought back, and even if it's exactly as good as it was, the experience can't be. You've already experienced it, and part of what was great was going through it for the first time. You have to meet expectations and adjust it for the climate, which is not easily done. Similar concerns were expressed about the decision to reboot the series rather than to revive it or further expand the Buffyverse. Reports, right,
just expand.
Right.
They left it open to that. I mean, when at the end of season 7, they left it to that, where they could expand as far as they wanted to go.
Right.
And with the book, the audiobook that came out, they can expand the universe as in parallel universes, just like they do in Marvel and everything else.
Right.
Because that's what the whole book is. It's a different parallel universe.
Yeah. They talked about, this is not my word, this is the word of the material I'm reading, but they've talked about race bending Buffy to become a black actress.
Yes.
Which a lot of fans were like, well, why would you do that when there's already a black Slayers?
There's 2 on the show that they talk about.
Right.
It's the one in New York that is, do you remember her son's name?
Yeah.
But it's where Spike gets his leather coat. There's Kendra. And it's like, yes, they have massively huge parts. No, they did not, because it's not about all the other Slayers. It's about Buffy and her journey. That's why I said, if you just expand on it and you could have a group of Slayers. You could have 5 different Slayers, and like as like a small like pack of like that go out and go to this one area of this and the other. Something different. You could do so much more now.
Right.
After season 7.
Right.
Like it could be a whole.
And I can understand quote unquote race bending for certain types of media, but this is a universe that has diverse representation already. So instead of making Buffy a different, ethnicity, why not just put focus on these other Slayers that already exist that are, that represent these kinds of people,
It's like,
and isn't there like a trans Slayer in the series?
That eventually comes down to I read that there is a trans Slayer, boy to girl.
Right. So we get all the representation in the Buffyverse, which is one of the reasons why I like it, and just the general world building, because anything can literally.
And you don't even have to have the Slayer that way. You could have like a coven of witches, and there's whatever. It could be anything else. That's why this show was so great, because it opened up everything to be anything. It wasn't just pigeonholed 1950s housewife. It's not that. And I need people to understand this, and I keep trying to tell people this all the time in the Buffy groups on Facebook.
Your Buffy soapbox.
I defend all the time about this show. I'm like, listen, it's not that hard, at all. Like, I literally was arguing with something. They were talking about the whole Dolly Parton, and Buffy. They're trying to figure out Buffy's birthday. Totally, literally gave the exact details, and this guy literally was like, Dolly Parton wasn't born in 1981. She was born in 1946. I was like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Buffy's birthday.
See, this is why I don't argue with people on the internet.
I'm not arguing, but I'm like, listen, I will stand on like you said, a soapbox, and I will defend this show.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anybody else's opinion about it. It's my opinion that I have. Am I the ultimate expert? No. There's people who are probably better.
I don't know, man, because like sometimes when we talk, you have like photocopied information.
I literally can quote.
Yeah.
Almost.
I can't watch the show without listening to him talk the character parts as they're going. And it's like, yeah.
You're like a textbook with arms.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
But, so a Twitter message posted by Owusu Breen on July 26, 2018 was interpreted by media outlets as indicating that a new series would not recast the role of Buffy and instead would focus on a new Slayer, which, thank God.
And also, there is I cannot remember her name at this moment. We can talk about this maybe the very first next episode.
Right.
But there is a girl, and I want her to play the next Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
She was a character on the show Flash.
Mm-hmm.
She is of, I guess, mixed descent.
Okay.
I think she's black and white. Do not quote me, and I apologize if I'm wrong because I cannot remember. I've looked at up her stuff and everything else. She is a Buffy freak. Like she's like, I've watched every episode. I know all about it. Da 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 da. I want that. She even said, I want that role. And I'm like, that is the girl we need.
Right.
Somebody who has watched it, lives it and breathes it to be able, I can play a Slayer.
And that would go for anybody who wanted to play a Slayer in the Buffy verse. They need to have, I personally believe, they need to have a kind of passion for Buffy.
They do. Because, actually, the only thing to say against Mother Sarah, she mentioned Zendaya. No. I'm sorry. Zendaya is like depressing.
Is she?
Her face is always like, whoa, girls, all go feel them. It's like, can you smile?
I don't know.
I don't like her.
I mean, she could probably rise to the challenge if prompted.
I don't know.
Well.
I don't. I see her being a psychic.
Probably.
Like a pissed off Xander version.
Yeah. The surly. Well, but Faith is. Well, no, Faith's not really necessarily a surly Slayer.
Faith's insane.
Yeah, she's just. Yeah, that's bad girl Slayer. Yeah. But anyways, in August 2022, executive producer Gail Berman announced that the series was put on pause indefinitely. But, in January 2024, Dolly Parton stated that the producers were still working on the reboot and were, quote-unquote, revamping it. Which is like...
Well, the thing that most of us got mad about the whole thing was, okay, we understand the flesh out a whole new situation, all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. We get it as Buffy fans, but they're like, oh, if we do new video games, we're going to have new merchandise.
I would love a new video game.
Oh my God.
That would be so cool.
And do not put other characters, just Buffy or other Slayers. Only do the Slayers. Do not put Ender or whoever's sidekick. He doesn't do anything but walk. Do not put them in the game. Willow's cool. Put Willow. You could do Angel. You put Spike. Do not put Giles.
Yeah.
Do not put Xander. Do not put Cordelia. Or whatever you're doing. Stick to the people who actually have ability.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because it does make those other games a bit slow.
When you're playing Xander and Chaos Bleeds, it is torture. And then he has to fight Demon Anya because they're in a different universe.
Oh, yeah.
They're in the first universe. And Demon Anya...
Anya is a character we will talk about later on in the series. She's very important.
We love Emma. And she is just flying around demon using electric bolts, and you have a hat with trying to take bunnies out, and you got to place them on these 3 different pentacles, 3 of them or something, like a number about. Then there's little L's that
Don't you usually skip that line?
I do. I skip it. I won it once, did great after 5,000 times.
Yeah. And
I just skip it. I cannot play it. Because you have to put so many bunnies, and the gremlins come out and eat these bunnies. Then she hits you with lightning bolts. You can't freaking move, and you have to. And then when you have all the bunnies on all the pentagrams, she comes down, and you only get to hit her one time. She flies back up in the freaking air to do it all over again. You're like, why are you walking so slow? And he does. It's like he's watching somebody slow.
That's hilarious.
It's frustrating. I had to get that out.
It's okay. Well. We didn't get the reboot we were asking for, but they in 2023 in September they came out with Slayer's A Buffyverse Story for Audio. Sorry, it was an audio for Audible. Yeah, it came out in October, and the series is set 10 years after the events of the series finale, and the story is led by Spike, played by James Masters, which Spike. And also returning are all the main characters, all the main cast. Including...
not all the main cast. Because some people didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah didn't come back.
Yes.
Michelle Trachtenberg did not come back. Dave Boreanaz is not back.
Right. But a lot of important characters came back.
Allison Hannigan didn't come back.
Amber Benson actually helped...
write it.
Right, which I think is amazing. And then in February 2024, Audible canceled the series after 1 season, which is didn't I literally listen to it around that time.
Yeah.
And I was in love with it. I was actually like giddy.
I think the reason people said the reason they had to cancel it is because I think it, like with going into making the new show, they didn't want so much going, and you're like, where am I and what am I doing? And maybe possibly turning what that audiobook is could possibly be the new show. Maybe new recasting, like younger people, obviously to play those parts, but that's what I've heard small talks about.
It was really good. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm pretty miffed. I'm pretty angry that they canceled it because it was going like the story was great. Good. It was going in the right direction, and it included Marvel or DC style like time.
It's multiverse. It's a Buffy multiverse,
right?
And it was great. It's like that's what I was saying before. You could do so much. Like, you could start a whole new storyline,
right?
And be like, oh,
well then. But see, then that could, giving credit to the idea of wanting a Black Buffy, that could make room for a Black, right,
or Asian of any kind. Like, there's so much you could do.
But that would give leeway for that, though.
Yes.
So,
but also there is those new by Kendra Blake, I think it is, a new series that is.
Are you trying to find it?
Yeah, I think it's Kendra Blake. Right.
We've got this shelf next to us, and it's got some of the Buffy books in it, and he's trying to reference it like Giles style, pulling out the tome.
I think it's Kendra Blake. If I'm wrong, I'll quote it next time. But it's basically it comes and it could make a good show because Allison came back. Allison has said she would come back, but it's Willow's daughter who is a witch now. Willow has stepped back from being a witch, so her powers are not strong. Right. But anyway, it is based on Willow's daughter becoming the next Slayer.
Right.
And she does. Because of some catastrophic thing. And it does go off of the original canon based on how season 7 ended. And of course, this is years later because her daughter is in high school. But it is a new series. It's 3 books. In every generation. And the other ones I cannot remember. But there's 3 books that have come out, and that could be your continuation, and they could easily make that into a new show,
right?
And they've talked about that actually would happen.
Well, there's also other potential continuations. They were going to do a Buffy animated series, kind of like Sabrina, and then they were going to do Ripper, which is actually the story of Giles when he was young. Which, when you watch the show, we will talk about this eventually. Giles was also a major mover in Magix. And then they also had Slayer School, which I'm assuming was going to be like a serialized sort of maybe anthology of the Slayers, the young potentials becoming Slayers. And then we talked about the series based on Faith. And then they did do an Angel spinoff, and we will actually be doing a separate show about Angel eventually as well. Right. But
we will segue right into that. And by the way, I found my book. It is called In Every Generation by Kendra Blake. I would think her name is Kendra Blake. That starts the new. Basically, they say it literally is a new universe of Buffy. So,
yeah. Well, we have talked a great deal about the show and its backdrop, the background, how it came to be, who are the main characters, who plays the characters, what was the concerns of the show, what did it tackle, how did it tackle it. And I feel very confident that when we make episode 1, which we will do really soon, that everyone who listens to it will get enough background information to be able to appreciate our point of view and perspective on the shows. Now, we won't cover every episode because there's
especially in season 1.
Yeah.
There's every season except for season 1. There's 13 episodes in season 1. Everyone has, I think, 21 or 22 episodes every season. And that's a lot. There's a lot of filler episodes. So we may brush up on aspects
or vaguely mention it.
Yeah. Or there's a point in that episode that we could have brought up, but we're not going to be like every other Buffy podcast where we sit here and literally sit and talk every episode through and through. We, especially in season 1, there are only a handful of episodes that actually stick to what is about the Slayer, what is about the show. There's things we're going to skip.
Yeah.
If you obviously want to watch the show along with us, you can. and we will let you know the episode before which ones we're going to skip the next episode. We will tell you this and why we're skipping that episode, because we don't see that it goes close enough to the story.
Mm-hmm. But that's our episode. We will be starting with Season 1, Episode 1 of Buffy in our next episode, all of which will be on the Pirate Core Entertainment website. Also, check out other podcasts and entertainment in Pirate Core Entertainment family. Just go to piratecoreentertainment.com. If you want to hear more from me, you can hear me cover the later part of Season 2 of AMC's Interview with the Vampire, as well as Season 1 of The Mayfair Witches, and Queen of the Damned, and Longlegs, which I did with Mark Kirkman, all on Adrenaline Cinema Podcasts. That can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever podcast player of choice you'd like. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I am Billy.
I'm Will.
And if it comes, beat me.